Hey everybody, episode 11 of Flick Knows here. Can you believe it? We're doing episode 11.
I know, it's pretty awesome.
Hard to believe. We don't even know if anybody's watching these things. So if you're watching this, leave us a comment below and just let us know where you're from and whether you liked it or not, other topics that you'd like us to cover. But here we are, episode 11. We're going to talk about financing here in the mountains and what that looks like. So we got a couple of tips for you. First tip is to work with a local lender.
Yeah, a lot of people think that working with a lender, the whole loan process is really a pain, but it might not be the most fun part about the real estate transaction. It's also not as difficult as you think, especially if you're going to work with a local lender. And a local lender, someone up here in Summit County, if you need a recommendation, we have a bunch of them that we can definitely send over to you. And, they just make the process a lot easier.
Yeah, and they make it so much easier because they typically know what the HOAs are. They've got properties pre-approved. Up here in Summit County, with all the short-term lending and commercial space on top of on the first floor of the condo properties, there's some properties that are a little bit more difficult for those larger lenders, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, to lend on. So that's why the local lender is really critical here. When you're putting an offer in with a seller, they want to know that the deal's going to close. And the best way to do that is to work with a local lender.
Yeah, and you also want to get pre-approved. And so that sounds scary and like it's going to be a lot of work again, but it's not. You just get in touch with the local lender and you give them some basic information, and as long as you're, timely with your response and everything, they can have you usually pre-approved within a day or so, which is great. So then you're all set to make an offer on a place, because at this point, we are not submitting offers without pre-approval letters or pre-qualification letters, or at least promising them within 24 hours.
Yeah, and it's easy. There's no commitment there, so it's not like, okay, I'm signing away that I have to work with you. But getting pre-qualified, that's your best bet there. So no commitment, just get her done. Yep. If you want to take it another step further, you can get pre-approved, which is the next level where you've actually applied for the loan, but that's not necessary to make an offer, that's for sure. Yeah. So tip number 2 is your down payment.
Yeah, so you obviously want to get as much down as you can. It makes you a more attractive buyer. It gives you a better interest rate. However, there are loan options up here which can get you in for as little as 5% down. So kind of depending on your offer situation, that'll determine what you want to do for a down payment. And then I guess the big piece with that is trying to get your money all into one place.
Yeah, you want to be able to prove that you've got the money, the funds easily accessible, not only to your lender, but to the buyer. When the lender's able to see that you've got your funds there and that it's been sitting there for a couple weeks, couple months, they know that historically is going to be there. It's not going to be a stretch for you. So, yeah, getting that down payment pulled together and sitting in one place is critical as well.
Yeah, and then the third tip that we have is just to stay in constant communication. So always be accessible, get paperwork in as quickly as you can. It just makes the loan process go that much smoother. We tend to have really tight timelines as we're trying to win deals up here. And so it's definitely critical that you're not out celebrating going under contract right away. There's plenty of time to do that once you actually have your closing.
Yeah, if it went for deadlines, nothing would get done, right? But of course, in this instance, we want to be working ahead of the deadlines so that if any problems arise or, you need to do a little extra legwork to get some paperwork pulled together or something along those lines, you've got that extra wiggle room to be able to get it done. So working ahead of the deadlines here is really key and critical. So yeah, those are our 3 tips for financing up here in the mountains. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to us, as always, at teamflick@summitliving.com. And if you know somebody who could use these tips or, would like a little bit of insider info on what it looks like to finance a property up here in the mountains, maybe they're doing an investment property, share this video, like it, subscribe to our feed. We love to hear from everybody who's following this. So we'll talk to you next week for another episode of Flick Knows.
Bye, guys.